Yeah, that's right. Colin P from the DMV. Mr. Fingers. This week in UGA football. Get ready, baby. Let's go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody is doing well. It is your guy, Mr. Fingers from Zagnir Central, coming to you live from the 405, where the win comes whipping down the plane. Yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. And I noticed that y'all might notice that somebody a little different. He looks a little different from Colin P from the DMV. But those of you that know him as one half of that dynamic duo that will be coming to you in a little less than half an hour. That's right. The man, the myth, the comic book legend in his own mind. Sean Spencer from Let's Talk Football. What's going on with you, homie?
Yeah, buddy. It's your boy. What's up, man? How you doing? I don't hold a candle to my guy, Mr. Colin P in the DMV, but I'm glad I can fill in and help y'all out.
Yeah, Colin is celebrating his birthday. His birthday was yesterday. I do want to take the time to wish off the rip a very happy birthday to my co-host. We've been boys for we've known each other for about 15 years, met each other on the karaoke circuit, found out we were both dog fans, and it's been nothing but love ever since. We have watched each other's kids grow up, been with each other through marriages and divorces and the whole nine. Marriages, divorces, and in some cases, I don't know who, remarriages, but so we that's my dude, and I love him to death. And I want to go ahead and give a little shout out to him, a little video tribute, a little something that's a little short clip from, I think, is one of the funniest moments on the show. I'm just gonna go ahead and set it up. Nick Saban retired after last year, and it became known during his final year. You know how to do the whole bit about what does Nick Saban like to do in his spare time, and we discovered he had a favorite Sunday post-game snack that his wife kept on hand for him, and Colin kind of got a little confused about what it was, and hilariousness ensued. That's all I have to say. So here's the clip right here. Y'all enjoy.
Yeah.
Assuming for the sake of this discussion right here on this Monday night, right now, that we progress beyond Ole Miss on Saturday, Tennessee the week after, Georgia Tech the week after that, and go into the SEC championship. Jalen Milroe is a beast with his feet.
Yeah.
And he's got a cannon. Now, I don't expect the secondary to get burned too much on the go routes.
Yeah.
But that three-step drop, and, Nick Saban is no slouch. He's watching.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Or even if he's not watching, Miss Terry's watching and taking notes.
Yeah. Oh, she's got a truckload of bean pies too.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
the oatmeal bean pies. What do you?
Sorry, my bad. I
wanted to wait a minute. Hold on. Is he now the honorable Nicholas X? Is that what it is? Did you just make a Nick Saban a member of the Nation of Islam?
I want bean pie. That's in the head. I'm sorry.
Oatmeal cream pie, my guy.
Oatmeal cream pie. I don't like that in the head, man. It's going back.
Y'all saw it here live on Monday night, November the 6th, 2023. According to reports From one Colin P from the DMV, Nick Saban is now a member of the Nation of Islam. And Miss Terry has changed his snack, his post-game snack, from oatmeal cream pies to bean pies.
Oh my! I was sliding. You saw I was sliding by there. See if you wouldn't catch that.
You tried that? Oh, I caught it. I heard it. I was looking someplace else. I said, look, I was looking over here and something, and I went, huh? What did he say?
Yeah, but anyway, but we've got to worry about what Bama do. And your Bama does what Bama do. So, bean pie.
And that right there is our guy, Colin P. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to my guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, dude, I was so done. He said, yeah, you got a truckload of bean pies.
When you said the Nick Saban, is he now Nick X? The honorable elect?
The honorable Nicholas X.
Oh, that was good.
Oh man, happy birthday, my brother. We appreciate you. We see you back on next week. He said he would jump on. I'm like, man, enjoy Nashville.
Hey, and matter of fact, he got a twin. He got a birthday twin. I got to shout out my guy, co-host Washington Football Weekly, Mr. Will Kramer, Carolina. I won't show the Tar Heel Park. I'm trying to show love, but his birthday was also this weekend, man. So shout out to him, man. He does good.
Man, shouts out to our guy Will Kramer, the artist formerly known as the Purple Vegetable.
Yeah. Didn't age well, but it's all good.
Hey, look, we'll leave that where we put that. That's why I phrased it exactly why I phrased it. So
there it is.
So we can come back next week. Look, have Zuckerberg and everybody else calling me down. You can't do nothing on none of my streams, you boo boo. You are finished.
You are shut down, right?
You are summarily shut down. And where there's happy news and we're celebrating the life of some, we are also celebrating the passing of another life. We are also mourning the passing of another life. A man who is probably one of the most legendary in his field. He turned out to be one of the most iconic voices in science fiction history, period. Science fiction entertainment, period. And the irony of that is that he was born with a stammer and he took up acting just to try and get past that ailment and wound up becoming one of the most beloved voices in the history of cinema. In the person of Mr. James Earl Jones, passed away today at the age of 93. Depending on where you are in life, you either know him as the voice of Darth Vader, the voice of Mufasa. Older folks like me remember the old Motown movies of Bingo Long, Traveling All-Stars, and Claudine. And of course, my favorite movie, Coming to America. So quick James Earl Jones montage. I promise y'all we're gonna talk some football because we're on a short schedule tonight. We're gonna try and keep everything brief, but just a brief moment of honor for Mr. James Earl Jones. A little something we put together. I mean, I literally found out he passed away as I was pulling in the driveway to come home. So
you just told me for the first time. I got a little tear right here. I was like, daggone.
Yeah, man. So little tribute to the late great James Earl Jones.
Can't even fathom. They turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they like.
Ray, just sign the...
And y'all know I wasn't going to not put a clip from Coming to America in this bad boy.
Who in the hell is that?
I'm King Joffrey Joffre, ruler of Zamunda.
What is this? McDowell's? It's a place over on Queens Boulevard. I think he works there.
My son works!
Rest in peace to the legendary James Earl Jones. I mean, it's just this. I mean, he was the voice for two multimedia giants in Verizon, and you couldn't call, make a 911 call without hearing "Welcome to Verizon, local and national 411." Or turning on to watch what was going on in the world and hearing this is CNN. I mean, that man was everywhere, and of course, I was in the theater on premiere weekend when the movie came out, and Mark Hamill is hanging for dear life, and he said, "No, I am your father," and everybody in that theater lost their you know what, just gone. And then of course, the funny part was in the third movie when he defeated Darth Vader in battle and took the helmet off. It's like that ain't James.
It's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have been bamboozled, run amok, and let us fight.
You're not just gonna throw him in here. What? Yeah, no, I feel you.
But we understand. So rest in peace to the late great James Earl Jones.
Didn't he do those the Yellow Pages commercials in the 80s? This is the Yellow Pages.
I'm not sure.
Honestly,
I'm not sure, man. He was everywhere, and they dubbed him the voice because when you heard it, you knew who it was. There was if it was a deep voice, if it was on the radio, it was Barry White. If it was on TV or the movies, it was James Earl Jones. Period.
Yep.
So rest in peace to a legend. Now, I think he is probably the first man to have been a superstar for the entirety of my lifetime. Like from the time I was born up until now, because most of the rest of them have already gone on. I mean, like superstar status. Not I used to be a celebrity and people still know who I am. Like was still, when he passed away, he's still right up here. Didn't he just retired from doing the voice of Darth Vader just last year. I think he may have known it was time though. Gosh, hard to get back up after that to get into the football, but we're gonna have to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we do welcome you this weekend UGA football. I got my guest host Sean Spencer here with me. I don't even have to put the caption up there. Y'all saw the game on Saturday. Georgia, first home game of the season, 90,000+ fans screaming between the hedges. I actually had a college classmate who got to be down there on the field because his daughter is on the cheerleading squad. It's her first game in the cheerleading squad. Real big deal. And Georgia did what Georgia does when they play at home for those season home openers against a team. I don't want to down Tennessee Tech, but you all know how to. They put it like this: one of those teams they paid to come and visit. And we gonna run up in you, and it ain't gonna be pleasant. But we gonna send you home with a little something in your pocket, so it'll be worth your while. So I'm gonna lean back and let you. What you got, man? What you got for
well,
me?
not to come after anybody that might be watching in our college chat, but they did what you're supposed to do when you pay a team to come play you.
Huh? What you say, Mama?
Listen,
you not being nice.
No disrespect. I already said I'm going to bat for my mans, but yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, this game ended on that first punt return when Anthony Edwards made a couple moves and took it upfield, and all of a sudden you're like, is Tennessee Tech gonna address? Like, what are they doing?
I sincerely thought he was going to take that one all the way. I jumped up and was running beside the TV.
The defense did what they always do. Tennessee Tech could not run the ball, and they definitely couldn't pass. Although they attempted to get it on the edge a couple of times, and it looked like maybe if they get it around the edge, they can do that, but they couldn't do anything consistently. And that, so you can't put up points offensively. It was just a 7-on-7 drill for Beck. I mean, he was just hitting all the guys.
He was DJ Durkin.
Yeah.
All over the field. DJ Durkin all over the field.
And then
he finished the game with 4, did he not?
I believe so. I had to go back and check. But when you were sitting there, you texted me and you were like, ETN is him up and they got the backups in, and I just I knew all.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Was gonna
Don't you do that. This fool, every time
I'm an
I
equal
said
opportunity
somebody made a
attack.
great, every time I said Georgia had a great play, he would just go, huh, who are they playing again? And it took me 3 times him saying that for me to catch on to what he was doing. I was like, okay, all right.
Look,
But
I went back and tried to look through this game. I tried to see it, and honestly, y'all, I mean, y'all did what you're supposed to do. And I know I made jokes about teams that weren't able to do that, but I mean, you've said it, I've said it. Everybody that straps up, puts the helmet on, all that, you got a chance. But at the end of the day, one of the things I love about you guys is execution. Kirby Smart, he don't need to put up 77 in the game, but he wanted to get everybody in there. He wanted to get everybody their shot. Once Carson Beck did his thing, boom, boom, boom. Okay, ETN finally he got in this week. Now let's go to the back. Now let's get everybody.
I'm glad he stayed sober. I'm glad he's, or rather, I'm glad he didn't get behind the wheel of a car after a beverage or two. That seems to be a problem. That seems to be really. I mean, it's been 2 years now. We've had like 4, 5, 6 incidents in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Something that needs to be gotten under control. But overall, it was good to see Etienne out. Carson Beck finished with 5 touchdowns and 242 after 2 quarters of football. It was good to see Branson Robinson. Those of you that have followed the show faithfully, though listen, not to knock any of you that are casual watchers, we appreciate anybody that watches the show, but those of you that follow the show faithfully for the last couple of years, that name you have heard 100 times. We can't wait to see him play. We can't wait to see him play. Oh, he's hurt. He's not playing this season. Okay, well, next season. Oh, he's hurt. And it didn't look like he was going to get to play almost up to this week's game, but he got out there and he showed us what he can do when he's healthy enough to get on the field. So looking forward to seeing more from him. Gosh, it was
Tennessee Tech. They didn't do anything to help themselves. I mean, in these type of games, when you're playing a Georgia, you have to play a doubly perfect game. They missed tackles. They weren't playing with technique. They couldn't block anybody. So now, I mean, you guys are in mid-season form. And the reason why I say that is because it's 2 weeks in the season and you still haven't given up a touchdown. You know what I mean? Like your defense haven't given up a touchdown. So
and we
were
ready. And we were, I think, one of maybe 2 or 3 teams to have a season opener, not a home opener, a season opener against a ranked team, and still did not give up a touchdown or tutties as you used to like to call them. I don't know what happened. I kind of like it. Somebody said something sideways to you and you stopped using it, but me personally,
no, it's that damn mascot for Washington. But we're not talking NFL right now. Why are we bringing that up?
Okay, I'm just because we're talking football, whether it's college or pro or high school or pee wee or
what they played on Sunday was called football, then y'all need to go somewhere else because them jokers ain't playing football. But we're gonna talk about that because that.
Oh well, I could make that same complaint. You do understand that I am a fan of a dysfunctional franchise. A very dysfunctional franchise.
Yeah,
they show up 1 week. They show up 1 week and look like they could win the Super Bowl, and they show up the next week and it's like, they couldn't even beat. They couldn't even beat Edmond North High School. They couldn't even beat the high school that I do the PA announcing for, and they have a whole bunch of freshmen playing, and they right now are 0-2 and have been outscored 95-0 in 2 games in 8 quarters of football. But they will get there because they just jumped up a class as well. But I digress. Georgia finishes up 48-3. We saw great performances all the way around. Looks like they cleaned up a lot of the penalties that they were having last week, which essentially would have resulted in the score against Clemson being higher because they'd get downfield and stall out a drive on penalties. So looking really good going into Lexington next week against Kentucky, against the Wildcats, who are looking very, very dysfunctional. I don't know, bro. What happened to Kentucky?
Well, so in this game over the weekend, they were playing good defense. They just couldn't hold on to the ball, man. They had a number of turnovers, and to Brock Vandegrift's credit, I mean, the guy didn't look bad in that offense. He looks decent, but I'm not seeing what kind of wide receivers they have. They're not dedicating a lot of time. Oh,
Hold on. 3 for 10 and 30 yards and an interception is decent. I said three.
I mean, yeah, I mean, again, because what he's running is a lot of that RPO, so they're running a lot. You know, he's not, and then if that's not working, it they're not doing. But South Carolina had these guys eating up all day. Like in the first half, Kentucky couldn't really move the ball or do much of anything.
I know. Does RPO stand for really piss poor offense? Is that what that stands for? That's what they was running. I mean, the one bright spot they had was their lead rusher had 70 yards on 17 carries, but even then, that's not a heck of an average. That's probably a little more than 3 yards per carry. Well, I guess 3 yards per carry is not too bad if you're a 4-down rushing team. That's the first down at least every 4 plays, but still. Right. 3 for 10, 30 yards. This is the kid that used to play against Carson Beck, and they used to light up the scoreboard. This is a former 4.5, 5-star high school quarterback, and he goes to Kentucky, where obviously, like if you figure him, not to knock on Kentucky, but leaving Athens and going to Lexington to play, that's like taking Superman off of Krypton and bringing him to Earth. Literally, he should just be all over the place, and he can't get right. He can't get right more than Bokeem Woodbine in that Eddie Murphy Martin Lawrence movie.
But you know what though? You also got to think of it like this, and that yes, he might be good, just like Carson might be good, and Stetson was good, but they also had a great supporting cast. He doesn't have that. They couldn't even. I mean, they were 3 of 14 on third down. Like they couldn't stay on the field. They had multiple turnovers. They couldn't pass the ball. To your point, only having the 44 yards. Like so, South Carolina dominated this game in all facets. But Kentucky is just they look good a week ago when they're playing a lesser opponent. But when they came into SEC play, yeah, it didn't look good. And I think this is more on the defense of South Carolina. You know what I mean? They showed up with multiple turnovers.
They were in his face all day.
Oh yeah, Debo Williams, Dylan Stewart, both of those guys. Dylan Stewart's a true freshman. You see him get off the ball. So I think South Carolina was playing tough. And you gotta remember, South Carolina used to whoop up on Kentucky year after year. But since Stoops has been there, I believe Stoops got like last 5 out of 6 victories over him. So South Carolina was ready. This is their first home opener in a while that they've got.
Before Kirby came, South Carolina used to give Mark Richt fits. It was about a 50-50. You didn't know. It was about a 50-50. We win if we played in Athens, but when we went down to Columbia, when they started playing Sandstorm, couldn't make things happen. So I'm glad to see South Carolina on the come up, but I don't know what that holds. I'm not sure what that holds for their future. I just hope that their fans don't do like the fans of a certain franchise that you can't stand and start talking about them going to the CFP because they beat Kentucky. It's like, calm down. You beat a Kentucky team on a very down year because Mark Stoops is not a bad coach.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing though. You got 2 sets here. You got the fans in the group chats that are just ready to type and say, oh, look at this, look at that. And then you got the people like us that are really kind of breaking this stuff down. Like, I don't necessarily think this is indicative of what Kentucky will be this season. I definitely think in certain situations, especially in the SEC, certain teams might kind of want it more. I mean, if you look back at through this week, the way that Beamer got those boys in South Carolina going was he was saying, Kentucky thinks you guys are JV players. He thinks you guys aren't even worth it. You aren't even ready. So he got those guys charged up, and it worked for him. And then, I mean, I can't really defend Brock. You know what I mean? Like you said, he's supposed to be this 5-star guy and everything like that. But if you don't have anything around you, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, touche. It is. I will say it is tough to be. It is tough no matter how talented you are. If you don't have the talent around you, Shador. I'm sorry.
Can we stay on the field through the whole game, Shador?
Pew, everybody.
You want to do this? You want to do this?
Did I see him leave the field?
Oh yeah. Before 2 minutes to play.
at the point where I mean things were already out of hand, and I had to work a show on Saturday, and so once I started the show and the Oklahoma game was over, they basically cut all the sound off and let me have the sound and run the show. But I thought I saw somebody else trot out there, and I was like, oh,
Oh yeah.
oh,
Oh yeah.
okay,
With
that ain't
an
just
entourage around him. Like 4 or 5 guys around him walking with him back to the locker room in Nebraska Stadium.
I see.
I don't know if you want me to defend that, but I ain't got nothing much to say to
I've got nothing to defend that. I mean, you've done other than who your father is, and I'm not knocking the young man. He's still got some life lessons to learn, but other than who your father is, like Janet Jackson say, what have you done for me lately? If you want to take it another decade back, like Stevie Wonder say, you haven't done nothing. So, you know, or like your boys say, K-Dot say, sit down, be humble. I could do this all day, being the music guy. But I'm just saying,
it's true.
You know, you haven't done anything yet, and you know it's kind of assumed that he's going to be a first round draft pick. But if you get hurt, you're gonna be on the sidelines you're gonna be on TV with your dad doing Aflac commercials.
Oh yeah, but and even more than that is, you know, NFL scouts. I hope you're paying attention to this. You know, this is the guy that you want to lead your franchise, and he's sitting here and he's in his own little thing. And then on top of that, hold up, Dion. You the pop. You're supposed to teach these guys what they're supposed to be doing. You let this man walk off the field before the game's over? What?
Oh, wait a minute. He left the field. He pulled
left
a
the
LeBron?
field. Bro, go look it up. He left the field. I mean, into the locker room. No, into the locker room. Left the field. Now, I don't know. Maybe they'll go back and say he was hurt or something. I don't know. But homeboy left the field and had like 4 or 5 dudes around him. Like not teammates, but entourage, essentially. The camera guys.
He had an empty hammer entourage.
Right.
I got you.
I'm like, for real?
Well, we'll see how that pans out for him. Somebody, you know what though? It's like I said in the chat. Somebody will take a chance on Shedeur just because of his talent. Talent alone. I mean, people said, hey, Ryan Leaf is talented, but it's something like us. That boy just ain't right, Peg. And it was like, we'll pick him up. And he did good in college, and then he got in the NFL and destroyed the locker room and walked out and said, I quit. I don't want to be here anymore. So now we did find out that he had issues that needed to be worked out in therapy and all that stuff, but still, yeah. So I didn't mean to derail the South Carolina Kentucky train, but that's how that ended up. Kentucky winds up really getting embarrassed at home, 31-6 by South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are now 2-0 going into week 3. Let's talk about some of these other games here. The one trend that I noticed this past weekend. There were teams that should be on paper, whether it's by ranking or by just if you're just looking at it, giving it an eyeball test based off of what little knowledge you know, they should be able to go in and wipe the floor with this team.
Right.
So tell me why it took Alabama 4 quarters to score 28 points to beat USF. And remember, USF gave them fits. Remember last year, Milroe got pulled.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think to that point, I mean, what we've seen is that the transfer portal is alive. And I think a lot of those guys from South Florida, which is, we know, a very rich area for talent, a lot of those guys they're not necessarily going to a Miami or Florida State or some of these teams. They want to play, so sometimes they go to a South Florida. I think the talent at South Florida has raised up, but I think this game was more on what they're trying to make Jalen Milroe. They're trying to make him almost like what they're trying to do, apparently, to Lamar, making him into a pocket passer. And that's not, I mean, I get it because he's going towards the NFL, but you got to do, especially in college, what these guys' skill set is. If their skill set is to run and continue to run, do that. But when they have him in the pocket and they have him kind of thinking, credit to South Florida, who you know was playing their butts off. I mean, they were swinging for the fences, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to. I love the evolution of the guy, but you have to add what he does best, and I think that's what helped Saban once they got back on track last year. And I think that might hurt DeBoer if he tries to make Milroe into more of a pocket passer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and say yeah. I mean, we see what happens with Lamar when they try and make him be a pocket passer. It's not that he can't pass. It's not that he can't throw the ball, but his biggest skill are his legs. That's his
Right.
biggest talent. I mean, I know this is a college show, but it was very telling to watch Lamar Jackson have Derrick Henry in the backfield, and Lamar had the lion's share of the carries. I know Derrick is also in the league, kind of in it. You don't want to say it about a guy who's been such a prolific player, but
he's still feared though.
He's still in the league and good enough to start, but he's definitely got his better years. I think are behind. He's got more better years behind him than he does in front of him
on the other side.
But still, I mean, they could have used him more. But we see what happened with that. So, and now here's what I'm curious about, because I talked about what was going to happen with it and how they have the potential to be an upset. And I'm seeing that they lost. App State lost to Clemson 22-66. I don't know what Dabo said to the boys, but he definitely got them fired up for that game. 66-20 in App State. I'm sorry. They played at Clemson. I'm looking on the App State page.
They killed them.
App State went to Clemson and just totally got skull drugged. Ironically, I did have a very interesting and we got to kind of, because you have to jump on another show here in a minute.
Well, we're straight. I'm sure she'll go with that 9.
Okay.
We're straight.
I had a very interesting interaction with a lady in the grocery store in Aldi on Saturday, because I went into Aldi wearing a hat on the G, and I hear, well. and I mean with the H's, not just the W, like the Steve Harvey. I call it the Steve Harvey W. What did he say? Where? When? Well. And then she proceeded to talk about how her husband flew to Atlanta and she drove and it took longer. And I was like, say that, like, she was just, she was what my boss likes to call an odd duck. But she was a very nice lady. She was a very nice lady. At the end of the day, she was like, congratulations to your team, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully, coach can turn things around. It's one of those people that you talk to that when you think the conversation is over, then they throw something else in there. There's our guy right there, Collin, checking in from Music City. Hey, Collin, how many drinks? How many drinks are you in right now, my guy? And did you have a couple of bean pies with your drinks? Just want to know. So yeah, App State did not wind up being the giant killer that day. Alabama does manage, getting back to the other game, Alabama does manage to pull it out, although Milroe's stats were not.
So yeah, to that about Alabama, I mean, and to your point, I mean, South Florida, we can say positive things about South Florida all day, but Alabama still lost 3 fumbles. Alabama still was 5 of 13 on third down, and 13 penalties were over 110 yards. So Alabama didn't help themselves at all. And I hate that. Even the announcer said, if somebody comes and looks at the final score, they're going to be totally misled, because that's not indicative of how the game went. South Florida played their butts off, and then Alabama finally just started handing the ball off to Jam Miller, who had 140 yards, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah. Now, unsung hero number 1 of the week, the Missouri Tigers. Granted, they played Buffalo, but Missouri is off to a 2-0 start. And a certain guy that we know in our group chat is losing his mind. He's losing his mind. Shouts out to our guy, Scott Thaler, who probably won't be watching tomorrow night's roundtable, because there's a certain TV show that will be on. Feel free to I'm just going to let you know, feel free to not disturb our buddy Scott Thaler from 7 to 8 p.m. because his favorite show is on. But yeah, Missouri's looking better than decent. Now they do have to take on the giant. They do have to take on the giant killer Boston College, but we'll see how that goes.
Hey, speaking of your that high school team you were talking about, how many points did they lose against? Well, you said it was like
you're talking about the team that I announced for.
Yeah. You said it was like 90
I'll go ahead and give them a shout out. It's the Putnam. There's an area of Oklahoma City referred to as Putnam City. I don't know the history behind that yet, but I'm going to look it up. There are 3 schools that I know of in the Putnam City School District. There's Putnam City Original. There's Putnam City West, the Patriots. The Putnam City West is the Patriots. That's the school I announced for. There's Putnam City Original, which is the Pirates, which is the team that came their cross-city rival. And then there's Putnam City North, where Mr. Sam Bradford went to school before he went to OU. There's actually the street that leads into the school is called Sam Bradford Drive, yada. But Original beat West 43-0, and the week before they lost 52-0. So they have lost between the 2 games by a score of 95-0.
Wow. So the reason why I bring that up is because you talked about Georgia being one of the few teams that has held their opponent without a touchdown. Missouri is one of those other teams, and they have outscored their 2 guys. I think it's like 89-0. They had Murray State, I think, in the first week, and they put up like 50 something on them. And then obviously this game against Buffalo. So I think we all know Burden, we all know Brady Cook and that offense, but I think it's something to say. I mean, yes, still these guys aren't maybe at the level of the rest of the SEC, but Missouri is they're playing good ball all around. Drakowitz has those guys really playing, and I want to see how that goes down through the season if they can keep it up.
100%. Now here's their. I think this game this week will be their first real test. 11:45 on the SEC network. For those of you that have Dish or I forgot what the other service is, but if you have those, I don't know why. Join the rest of us, please. Get off of those networks. Sorry about the whole rift with Disney. Actually, the Oklahoma game, somebody had to pull it at the bar I was at. Somebody had to pull it up on their phone and stream it to the TV because they couldn't get it because of the whole Disney thing. Because SEC Plus is not on the cable package. Not on their cable package. But first, I think the first real test will be against Boston College, and this leading up to what could potentially be a really good showdown between Missouri and Vanderbilt if Vanderbilt manages to eke out another win. Because good God, watch out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago, the Vanderbilt Commodores are 2-0 going into week 3. Now they play. Now the shocker was Virginia Tech because Virginia Tech was heavily favored. I think they were a 40-point favorite. Alcorn State, and they were supposed to beat Alcorn State. They've got Georgia State, who can be scrappy next week, and then they've got Missouri the week after. Now, where the rubber meets the road, they take on Alabama on the 5th. But actually, I'm looking at the schedule. They could 1, 2, 3, 4. They could maybe only lose 4 games if they play it right. And those 4 losses I've got potentially Missouri, Alabama, Texas, South Carolina, maybe if they're still at form, in Tennessee. They also have LSU, but we don't know who LSU is going to be. LSU may be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hiding themselves this year. Well, that remains to be seen. But yeah, so shouts out to Missouri, shouts out to Vanderbilt. Let's talk some Sooners, man. I wanted to cue it up, but I'm not going to give them that many props. They struggled against Houston, and Houston kind of got embarrassed last week. I believe it was against UNLV. I want to say who it was they played.
They lost 27.
They got embarrassed. They lost to UNLV the week before, 27-7. Oklahoma, who's going to come into the SEC, take over and wipe the floor with everybody, at least by all fan accounts. Again, we talked about type versus type versus. Let's take a look at this. All the typers, all the Twitter and Instagram and Facebook studs and boomer. So no, they struggled. The defense, it's almost like in the wake of not almost like it is exactly in the wake of Lincoln Riley leaving, they hire a defensive minded coach. What happens? The defense gets better, the offense falls off.
Well, Yeah, I think they you know, some of these big schools, you think you can just next quarterback, and Jackson Arnold is, in my opinion, more like a Taysom Hill. He's a big guy, and you can use him in a lot of trickery, and that's what they used to do when Dylan Gabriel was there last year. They had, well, yeah, they used to bring him in to do this little pop pass or bring him in to run something, QB lead or something like that. So to have them as their starter alone, I question it. They jump out to an early 14-0 lead, and to your point, the defense is shutting these guys down. They're only holding 2 field goals, but that offense for Oklahoma couldn't get it done. You have 2 turnovers. You go 4-14 on third down. I mean, what really are y'all bringing to the table right now? And I think a lot of people, and you know this more than I do because you're in that area, a lot of people looked at them playing Temple and said, we're back. And it's like,
no, you're not. You played Temple. You played a team that was so bad, a team that has historically been so bad. You know how long Temple has been bad overall as a program? There's a certain comedian. He's not in public favor anymore. But at one point, he had the #1 Thursday night television show in America and another follow-up show behind that. He had a Saturday morning cartoon. He had one of the best comedy specials ever recorded. He played ball for Temple he's 80-something. So this would have had to have been 60-something years ago. And a big part of his routine was about how bad the Temple Owls were when he played football at Temple. That is how long Temple has been bad, longer than I have been on this earth.
Yeah.
Okay? You beat Temple. Calm down. That's what the guys on the radio were saying. They won, and then come Monday morning, they were like, "Yo, oh my God, our text line is blowing up. We're back. We're going to run the SEC. We're going to run the table. We're going to the CFP." And he stopped and he said, "You beat Temple. Calm down."
Yeah. I think they said the last time they were ranked was like in 1936. Like, it's not a joke. Temple is just not, they're not a football school, and
they're school for people that got money, they want a good education. They can send their kids to Temple.
Yeah.
That's one of those schools where you look at it, you go, "Oh wow, you graduated from Temple. I think that's going to add an extra 15 to 25K on your salary."
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you're good at sports.
Right. We're not going to put you on the flag football team. But
no, we're not. We're not even good. Not flag football. You can't make you can't make varsity, and they won't even let you on the flag team. Can you at least play on the tag? Can I play frisbee football?
You're right. Maybe frisbee golf. Maybe that's what they got going on.
Frisbee
but
golf,
yeah, Temple's not. But so that's not an accurate.
That's one of those schools where they probably. I'm not even trying to be funny, but that's one of those schools where they probably have a very good crew team. Yeah, like they probably have a phenomenal crew.
I'm sure they got other sports that are good, but football's not it. So that's not. Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Their football team is strictly for very smart guys who decided they wanted to go to Temple, who also just happened to be football players while they were in high school, and that's not a knock. I would way out of my mind say that is a very accurate description of what their football team is.
Oh yeah,
you beat Temple. You beat a bunch of guys who can tell you why the quantum physics. Like you broke off tackle and shook off 6 tackles, and they could look at you and go, due to your height and weight and your center of gravity, this is why you were able to effectively, with the size of your biceps and thighs, generate enough thrust with force per feet per second to shake all 6 of us off.
Yeah.
They can tell you why they ran you over. They just can't stop you from running them over. Calm down.
With that being said, though, I will say that on the flip side, I'm not as down on Houston as maybe other people might. No, I don't think they are. They can't play in the SEC this year, but Houston is a team that's going to give people trouble. And UNLV
do that historically, though.
Well, right, and Houston. I mean, we're these guys are 2 years away from being only a 1-loss team. You know what I mean? And yeah, last year they had some struggles, but then this year doesn't look like it's going to be much. I mean, a lot of those guys left. I mean, obviously Tank Dell left, OC left. So these guys are gonna they're gonna play their game. But to your point, this is not the game that you want when you're about to go into SEC play. And to have this kind of competition, I mean, shout out to Danny Stutzman with his 15 total tackles. I mean, the team had a couple sacks, 7 tackles for loss. I mean, so the defense is showing. We know their defensive coordinator, their head coach, or their head coach that was the old Clemson defensive coordinator, Venables. We know what he's going to bring. We know what he's going to bring, but you're going up against Tennessee next week. So
yes, sir. And Tennessee has long been the team that has had an axe to grind.
They ain't playing right now.
They're not. And Heupel every year they level up, and that is I'm not even making that up. They had that really phenomenal season. I want to say 21, 22. They took a little bit of a step back, but they have been leveling up every year. And Heupel is getting those guys to that point. We're gonna look around. I'm thinking I give it another. If not this season, maybe next season, maybe if not this season, maybe 25, 26. Look and watch to see what Tennessee does.
If their defense can match their offense, they're going to be top 3. They're going to be national championship contender without a doubt. That offense is electric. And we saw it a couple years ago, like you said, 2021, when they went up against Bama and Jalen Hyatt had that 5 touchdown game and did all that stuff. Last year, yeah, they didn't. Milton wasn't the best, but that offense was still electric with how Heupel, like you said, spreads them out and gets you downfield. But you also got to be able to stop somebody. In that Alabama game a couple years ago, it was a 3-point game, but the score was like 52-49. So you still gave up,
right?
Points, and you got to be able to stop, especially the teams likes of an Alabama, the Georgias, the Ole Miss. And so until Tennessee can do that, it's going to be hard. But I will say this. They did hold NC State without a touchdown.
Yeah, but you also they did what they were supposed to do. They beat Chattanooga. They ran them out of the state. They ran Chattanooga out of the stadium. They played NC State, but NC State is ranked number 24 in the country. Now being ranked top 25, even if you're at the bottom end, it's no slouch.
Mm-hmm.
But you scored 51 points on the number 24 ranked team in the country. They were supposed to do that. I want to see what they do when they come to Norman. I want to see what they do if they get that Arkansas team. If that same Arkansas team that just played this past Saturday, I want to see what they do against that Arkansas team. I want to see what they do against Alabama. That's what I want to see. Now, I'm not knocking them because Tennessee is legitimate.
You're not. I was about to say you're not giving them love either.
No. I'm not knocking them. I'm not necessarily giving them love because they are legit. They have been the last 2-3 seasons, they have been a play here and a play there away from being in contention for the CFP, or at least for the conference championship, if not the CFP. So I want to see what they got going on. I will be paying closer attention to their games as we go along. Like, I'm not going to watch this Kent State game this week. They should mop the floor with Kent State.
But in the same way that you watch the Tennessee Tech game, that's how you – if I want to look and see what your offense is running and how you're doing, I think you need to watch those other ones. And not you in particular, but overall, because this Tennessee team, so like I said, they only held them to 1 touchdown, and that 1 touchdown was a pick 6. They didn't even give up a touchdown. On top of that, they had like 13 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 1 pick 6 themselves. Look, NC State, Grayson McCall is their QB. He used to be the guy from Coastal Carolina, so he's not – obviously, he took advantage of the transfer portal to move up to a higher school, and all that stuff's great. I don't think 24th is where North Carolina State should be. That's where they were because of how last year ended, beating my Tar Heels and then, winning the bowl game, I believe. So, yeah, I definitely think they were ranked a lot higher, and now we're going to obviously see them drop. But, yeah, I think this was a little bit more of a – I don't think it was a Tennessee Tech. I don't think it was even them playing in Kentucky. I think this was a game where they saw the gap between the SEC and the ACC.
Yeah, I think there's a tune. I think it was still a tune-up game. I will still maintain. Yeah, they're better than some of the teams at the below the middle line of the SEC, but I still look at that as a tune-up game. So
yeah, but you got to remember this Tennessee team. I don't want to call that a tune-up because I don't think because Tennessee's bringing a lot of people back, and NC State is not who they were. I think NC State was misranked here. I mean, NC State was misranked. Now, I don't want to call it tune-up, and maybe that's an ACC bias, but I think you can't really say anything because of the score. So
yeah, well, I say a tune-up game, exactly because of the score. You know what I mean? If the game had been a lot closer, then I would be like, okay. If it had been a lot closer and Tennessee had figured out a way to dig one out, like Georgia did against Missouri year before last, I would say, okay, this definitely was not a tune-up game. This is now we're talking grit, determination. We're talking about, okay, we see strengths and weaknesses on both sides. Was NC State really that good? Was Tennessee's defense that bad? Or was it just a hell of a football game? But yeah, I'm going to give them props because I'm looking at this, and realistically speaking, after last week, they're beating Oklahoma. They're going to beat Florida. They're going to beat Kentucky. They're going to beat Mississippi State. They're going to beat UTEP. I want to give Vanderbilt the benefit of the doubt, but I think they run out of gas about week 9. I think they run out of gas by week 9, and they drop that one. Vanderbilt does. So the games I'm looking at, unless Georgia and Alabama completely fall apart, I think those are going to be the two big challenge games for Tennessee.
Well, I'm interested to see them play legit a lot better opponents. This NC State team, I don't believe in. Again, this is my rival, so this is like you talking about Georgia Tech. It's like I don't like them, even though they beat us. But I think they're challenging for the top 2 or 3. And after what I saw yesterday Saturday from Alabama, if you're going to beat yourself, Tennessee's going to take advantage of that. So right now I got you and Tennessee up there. And that's more based on the returning guys. You got Pierce, this guy on defense, who's already, a lot of people are looking at him as the number 1 pick coming out this next year at edge rusher. You got Nico, young guy doing it. Sampson's getting over 100 yards on the ground. So that offense is moving, but I'm eager to see how it looks against a tougher SEC defense. And I'm eager to see how it looks against just more competition. I mean, obviously, kind of like with Georgia, it was talent versus technique. So, Tennessee Tech did everything they could technique-wise, but the talent was far better. So there's going to be the gap. And I think that's what we got in this game, where the talent at Tennessee was here. NC State didn't have that talent, but they wanted to play with them, but they couldn't get it done.
Yeah. And then that leads me to, since we're talking about Tennessee, that leads me to our other new addition to the SEC. Them Longhorns went into Michigan. I mean, I was expecting Michigan to take a step back because of the talent that they lost. Their head coach is gone.
Oh yeah.
They're a long time. I say long time but for Michigan that was long time. For Michigan here recently, that was long time. Head coach is gone. They lost a lot of talent. A lot of guys, went. And by the way, I'm just gonna say this. Not that I dislike Aiden Hutchinson. I think the kid's immensely talented, but when we played against them in the national championship, I was like, nah, I hope the offense eats him for breakfast. That boy is a beast.
He is. He's a bad man.
That's a bad man right there, boy. That boy got no quit in that motor. Just hope it holds up for a while. They went into the big house and embarrassed Michigan in the big house. Yeah. They beat Colorado State, which is what I expected them to do. I'm expecting that, I'm looking at their schedule right now. Their first challenge is not until October 19th, and that's when they play us. And that's that's assuming we're still on point come that week, which I doubt we won't be. You understand? That's their first challenge, and then after that, they got Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M. Worst case scenario, I see the Longhorns going 11-1. That's a worst case scenario.
Well, I mean, we gotta remember the people that, I mean, obviously they lost Worthy, obviously they lost their running back, but we got to remember how many people they are returning that goes toe to toe with you guys and how many people you're returning. And we got to remember how far they went last year. And, obviously we have the conversation about, y'all should have been in the Final Four, whatever, what have you. But they were a couple plays away from getting to play Michigan in that national championship game. And who knows what would have happened. But to your point, and I've talked to Alex at length about this. I mean, he's not happy with his quarterback play. We all kind of looked at J.J. McCarthy like, oh, is he really that good? Well, he's a leader and he had that offense going. But you also got to think of that head coach. They don't have their boy Harbaugh anymore. And no disrespect to Sharon Moore, but Harbaugh is a certain kind of coach, and I'm sure Sharon could pick up on that, whatever. But if you're not getting quarterback play, you lost a lot of pieces on defense. There's just a lot to be left wanting. And Michigan, when you're going up against a team like that, I mean, I think if Michigan would have gone up against y'all, I think it would have been the same thing. It would have been that much of a victory. And the reason being is just they would have been good if they were to play in the ACC, or if they play some of those other teams at the lower part of the Big Ten or the lower part of the SEC. But if they're going into this type of matchup this early in the year, I mean, on top of jitters, it was not a good sign. And even Alex was nervous about it.
You know what though? This opens the door for Ohio State and Penn State.
Penn State struggled with Bowling Green.
Yeah, they did. But let's call it what it is. We know that the top three teams in that conference have been Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. And almost every year in that exact order. If Michigan can't get it done, that opens the door for these other two teams. And if they can stay on top of their game, that sets up a scenario where Michigan is not competing for the Big Ten championship, which would be very interesting to see. And I would be interested to see if the people would call for Sharon. You know how fans are fickle.
Well, but
we love Coach Sharon. Yeah, and then the end of the season, ready to get rid of him. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh no, completely. Especially if you're coming off a championship. You know what I mean? Right. And we got, but at the same time, this is the year where this type of thing could happen, because it's okay if you lose this game, especially if you lose to a power like Texas. So now the more Texas wins, the better off that loss looks for you guys that you went up against them. You know what I mean? So that's, I think, the thing it's going to be interesting this year. That one loss does not eliminate you. That one loss, if you're in the Power Five, it does, but that one loss doesn't eliminate the top teams.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. So let's switch gears. Let's come back around full circle. We know that the Dogs are traveling to Lexington this weekend. Score prediction:
51-6, Georgia.
Jesus, that much? Well, we saw what Kentucky did. You know what? Let me not even ask that question. We all saw what Kentucky put on the field on Saturday. And if that's the best, if Killmonger is standing on top of the hill yelling, "This is your king," then I could see it being potentially worse than that. I could foresee it being 50 points in before they even go to halftime. I actually think that I had to say Brock Vandegrift. It's hard to not say his name because he was the backup behind JT. It's hard to not see Gunner putting up a couple himself.
I will say this though. This isn't Tennessee Tech where you're not playing 2 and 3 stars. So you're still going to be playing some 4-star type guys. So I don't think it will be 50-0 in the first, but hey, we saw what y'all did to South Carolina the other last year. We had them leaving at halftime.
Brother, they lost to South Carolina, and that is not Will Kramer. We love you, brother. But this was definitely unexpected. I know Beamer's got the kids believing, and it's early in the season, but they lost to South Carolina. That's just like it. Well, no, I won't say just like. I started to say just like Oklahoma beating Temple, but no, it's not quite. But still, I could see it happening because I can see. Did you see Vandegrift's face as the game progressed?
I did. I'd like to look at your view of Georgia versus the rest of the SEC. I don't think they're that far down. I think that was a rivalry game and South Carolina just dominated. I think Kentucky's going to get blown out. You saw my score, but I think it's going to be progressed throughout the game. I don't think it's going to be 50-0 at the half. Not like y'all did South Carolina a couple years ago where they left the stadium at halftime.
Oh, I think that was last. Well, I don't know.
Was
I
it
can't
last
remember.
year? It might have.
It might have been like it might have been last year, but that was bad.
No,
I mean,
last year they gave you the run. Remember, they gave you a run for last year. 2 years ago was when it was ugly.
It was. I mean, the stadium was. It was about 10,000 Georgia fans was all that was left in that stadium.
That was
when
it.
Third quarter rolled around. It was
Yep.
the band, the band, and the Georgia fans, and that one lonely home team fan that always gets caught on camera. Just sitting there like,
yeah.
And then the announcer always says that same dumb crap. Well, there's one person that's not happy about today's results. You think?
Right.
Anyway, I don't think they shut him out. I don't think they shut him out, but I think they hold him a couple of field goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they hold Kentucky to a couple of field goals. So I got
Kentucky 2 field goals late.
I'm giving Kentucky 6. I'm giving Kentucky 6, and I'm saying Georgia's going to put up. I'll say 48. I'm right along with you. It'll be 48.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty
because that offensive line can't protect Brock. And the reason I say 48, I think 2 points of that is going to be a safety. The rest of it, divvy it up the way you want to. I think they're going to get backed up against their own goal line, and Will's going to get safety.
No, I will say
Georgia's
this:
going to get a safety
with the offense that Brock Vandagriff and them run at Kentucky. If they are able to get out on the edge and block you guys on the edge, that could pose some problems for you defending the run. But the problem is, I don't think they have really a lot of a passing game. So once you shut that down, it'll be over. But that's the only thing I saw in those highlights against Tennessee Tech is that when they try to hit you on the edge and try to block off the edge, they can get up for a good yard, but they couldn't do anything. They'd have one play that was decent, and then they get 3 or 4, they lose yards.
Yeah. So that's what I got for score prediction. And also, I do love my Dogs, but I also love my Tigers. And the Tigers traveled to Southern University, and they did manage to score a touchdown first quarter. It was 7-3 at the end of the first quarter, and that was the last time that we led. Southern poured on 39 points. The Tigers were only able to muster a field goal in the third quarter. The final score is Savannah State 10, the Southern Jaguars 42. Now, Southern obviously, Savannah State obviously outclassed by Southern, just in sheer numbers and size of program. But it's week one. It was week one for them, so I'm not gonna throw them away. I'm not ever gonna throw them away, but I'm not throwing the season away yet. So I really was not expecting Savannah State to go down there and beat Southern, although I was hoping with 8 returning all conference players that they would at least be able to make a show of it. So they gave the fans something to cheer about for a quarter.
Oh yeah. It happens. My Virginia State Trojans lost as well. We lost to Norfolk State 28-23 after beating Benedict College last week. So we're 1-1. I don't have too many high expectations for them, but I do try to follow my Trojans. The team that said, "Oh, hey, we want you. We're going to offer you a partial scholarship to come play here." Then the minute I step on campus, they say, "Yeah, we fired that coach."
Oops.
But I still went there like a fool. But I loved it. I liked it.
Yeah. Hey, look, where you go shapes everything about you. Savannah State, it's like I tell people, I love UGA. I will always love UGA. But Savannah State raised me.
Yeah.
So that's the real deal. That about wraps up this week's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to give my esteemed co-host, without whom I probably would not be here doing this show, at his suggestion. And I know you're pulling double duty, so I'm not going to keep you because he's getting ready to log off with me, and I'm going to log off with him, and I'm going to pull up I'm going to go sit in front of the TV and watch some NFL football and watch him and Janae. We know how that's going to go. But if you're looking for something else to watch, even if you catch the replay, when you get done watching this, make sure you go over to Let's Talk Football and watch this week's episode because it's going to be rich. Our friend here, my good friend here, is a Washington / insert team name of the decade, because I'm pretty sure it'll change again in 2030. The Commanders fan, and his co-host Janae is a raving diehard. Right now, it's week 1, and we're going to the Super Bowl Cowboys fan. So,
It's
but
coming.
I'm not
It's coming.
gonna lie, bro. They did. I'm not gonna lie. Dak, hands down, I will say this, is definitely one of the best regular season quarterbacks in the league. Get over that hump. If he could have played against Green Bay like he played yesterday, we'd be having a whole different conversation.
Yeah, but that's the difference. He don't play in January. He plays
Right.
in every other month, just not January. But he got
Wonder if
paid,
it-
so I ain't gonna hate.
I just look. I can't say nothing. He's still making more money than I am.
Yeah. Him and CD. Good gracious.
Right. Well, CD earned that money though.
He did.
CD earned every bit of that money. I watched him. I didn't get a chance to see him play here like in person, but I mean, he had the whole state of Oklahoma on fire.
Yeah,
Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, happy birthday! Shouts out to my co-host Colin. Colin will be back next week. Sean is going to be on Let's Talk Football in just a bit, so y'all don't forget to jump over and check him out. So until then, you be good to yourselves, good to each other. This is Mr. Fingers and Sean Spencer signing off from this week in UGA football. Go Dogs. This is your time. You can say Tar Heels right here.
Tar Heels.